if the churches would have never became institutions and followed Jesus's plan of its community, the community coming together, going house to house, that's really more intimate if you think about it. And that's what the apostles were doing. They were the church fathers. All the churches after that just became worldly. That's all that they were interested in. This is why Jesus said there's so many wolves in sheep's clothing. He was trying to tell you. But here's my point. If all of the denominations of Christianity had not become institutions, then you wouldn't have the mass child abuse problem. The top two denominations for child abuse in Christianity is Protestant and Catholic. So most people, what they would say is, well, we have to forgive. Okay, how many decades do you keep forgiving when it continues to go on? What the government does is the government aligns with the churches. They do. They always have. This is what I mean. There is no separation of church and state. The separation only serves that they can't go after them, but the government is allowed to align with them. Does that make any sense to you, the individual? No, of course not. Not if you're someone with common sense. But that's what happens when the institution in America is more important than you. There is a long historical pattern in the United States and other contexts where government and religious institutions have partnered to pursue social control and governance objectives. We're talking in America. Since colonial times, governments have cooperated with religious organizations in areas like education, social services, public morality efforts, leveraging the authority and influence of religious bodies to promote social order and public policy goals. So no wonder it just becomes more depraved over time, because when you put like the cardinal and the bishop on the news or Fox News or whatever, okay, and then they're going to tell you what the example of Jesus is. It's like, well, first of all, they're hypocrites, and you know how Jesus felt about hypocrites. I mean, he railed on the hypocrites. He hated the hypocrites because the hypocrites, while they themselves were a big old mess, they wanted to tell everybody else how to be moral. So when you look at the Catholic Church or the Protestant, because the top two Christian denominations in America for child abuse is Catholic and Protestant. The Protestants went off track a long time ago. I mean, I don't doubt at all that the people that fled England fled the Catholic Church there. Weren't being led by God, but they quickly went astray here because they got in their ego and they created their congregational churches. But you already had the Church of England here in Virginia. You did. It was the Anglican, it's called the Anglican Church. They just said they would allow them to practice what they wanted. So it's like this is why God didn't go to these people, any of these religions. This is why he was done with this. It makes such sense. I mean, the Bible, as you know, the more time goes on, the world, the country you live in, you start realizing, I understand what Jesus was trying to do. So they want to put the picture of the cardinal in his modern day Pharisee outfit on the news so that you understand this is what morality looks like. Do you realize Jesus did not think that the lawyers, which were the scribes and and they were the people that, was writing everything down, and the Pharisees they were not a moral example. Remember how Jesus said, listen to what they say, because they would say the right things, but he said, don't follow them. because they're not an example of those words. Which is why Jesus went to those nobodies, why he went to the fishermen and the tax collector and the, the poor, the middle class. Yeah, he stayed away from all the wealthy and the elites. And yet today, instead of the government, it doesn't matter whether it's France or it's Spain. We've all taken from France and Spain's example. Big problem there. Bad, that was the worst thing to do, okay? But you can blame the denominations. If they never would have created the structure of the church and just kept it the way that the apostles were doing it, we would be living in a whole different world today. We would not be living with a massive child abuse problem that forever everybody just wants to ignore and claim, well, we must have mercy. Yeah, I think after hundreds of years, God is saying, I understand that he says to forgive, over and over again. But again, it's not like they ever apologize for it. And part of being, you being sorry about it is that it stops. It doesn't continue, okay? But as these denominations, the moment they created their structure, I think Jesus was like, okay, well, we know where this is going to lead. And the next thing is the government's got to protect them. The government's going to partner with them so they can socially control people. And you may think, but they want to socially control people under Christianity, so that's okay. Well, yeah, but look at the top two denominations of Christianity. When they themselves have a cup that is dirty inside, then does it matter? It doesn't. Because that's not where morality is. You can ignore it and say it is, but it's really not. So they can fight with each other and say, no, we're supreme. No, we're supreme. Oh, everybody's supreme except Jesus, huh? Yeah, that's why Jesus is not recognizing any of them. That's why they've all become worldly. Then you look at how much money that has been given by the government to the faith-based initiative programs. Yeah. And what they do is they let them bid on it. And then they get the grants. And who are the top recipients? Protestant and Catholic. They are. And these are all things, to supposedly help the public, to help the poor, I've seen what Catholic Charities is like. I'm not saying that I'm sure that people could make the argument, no, Catholic Charities is a good organization. Why do we still have this problem? We still have a problem. It's like it all works for the people that, seem to not understand Jesus and just seem to be corrupt. There's a reason that Jesus said there would be all these wolves in sheep's clothing. He meant entire denominations. See, the biggest problem with creating the structure and the institution is then you can easily have somebody infiltrate it. Do you see what I'm saying? Somebody that's Catholic that wants to infiltrate the Protestants and take it in a different direction, or some crazy lunatic leftist, enters it. And that's what happened in the Protestant religion. I think a decade ago or so, that Southern Baptist Convention, they got rid of all of their women that were like leaders of the church. And yeah, you get a bunch of evangelical fools or Catholic fools, and they all just fools, all of the denominations. So this is why Jesus' example was, was he at times in the temple and tabernacle? Yes. But he was also very much in the community. And what did you see the apostles do? At no time did they build a church. The Catholic Church did that. They were actually going house to house. That's more intimate, isn't it? Yes. So you wouldn't have a need to have the government protect you and control you and partner. You would just be truly serving the Word of God. And then when you were doing that, you wouldn't have a mass child abuse problem. But when all of your Christian denominations seem to be so worldly focused and money focused, well, then the God they serve is the government. They serve each other while the individual is left behind.